And we're back. Is this a Def Cab for Cutie? That's pretty good. Although I don't get the name. Def Cab for Cutie. Jose plays a lot of really... We used to talk about this way in the beginning, about the kind of music that Jose would play here in the shop, and it's good stuff. I need to borrow some more music from you. Put on my MP3 player. I just bought a new MP3 player. A Sansa. On those Sansa discs, disc ones, 4 gigabytes. So, we were asked to do a little bit of a commentary on everything that's going on with Diamond and the publishers, how that's going to affect comic book publishers and the indies. There's really been, I think people have kind of like really talked. People who are smarter than I, of course, have talked about it and have kind of spelled out what the ramifications of Diamond's new policy.
Yeah, I read that the article or whatever that guy in your website wrote
Matt
about
Maxwell.
Matt Maxwell.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he did that book.
Yeah, Strange Ways.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. But no, he pretty much broke it down. It was very, and Rich Johnson did the same thing on Lying in the Gutters.
Right. And it's an unfortunate thing, and I think why
don't you explain really quick?
Okay,
encapsulate what
really
we're
for those who don't know what we're
because this is like a behind the scenes kind of thing.
Diamond Distributors is the sole distributor of comic books in the United States, and they just recently raised the minimums that a book can sell, or the amount that it can make, for Diamond to continue distributing, to keep it in its previews.
It's a solicited in
previews.
Right.
So when it used to be $1,500 wholesale, is it? They raised it to $2,500 wholesale.
Almost doubling it.
Yeah, almost doubling it, which is, for an independent creator, that's tough. $1,500 is tough to begin with. There are a lot of indies that can't do that, and they don't even try. But when you look at other companies like IDW, Oni, and those, that can be tough. But were you aware that these contract stipulations do not apply to any of the major companies right now during their current contract?
Oh, because when they sign exclusive, because Image, Dark Horse, Marvel, DC are all. I mean, it's kind of pointless to sign an exclusivity deal with them because Diamond is the only distributor of comics. Which
I think bears revisiting, though. But yes, these minimums do not apply to the companies under their current contracts. So the way this is affecting them, the way people are assuming it would affect them, is actually not at the current contract. So whenever,
but what about people like IDW and Devil's Due,
Boom,
Oni,
they can be a little different. Yes, they can be different. Yes. So, but if you're one of the bigger companies and you have a contract with them now, these changes don't apply to you as of yet. So, fine. But again, no one's really worried about how Marvel's going to distribute their books, or DC. I think Marvel and DC, they could use this as an impetus to say, you know what, we're just not going to deal with Diamond. But that's a topic for another day. The independents, though, are the ones that are hurting. The independents are the ones that aren't going to be able to make those minimums. The reality is independent distributor and independent creator is lucky to break 1,000 on their total sales. And remember we were having that whole discussion about Robert Kirkman talking about how you can make a living being a creator, do your own books, make a living doing that, break into Marvel, make a name for yourself in Marvel, and then bam, go back to being an independent creator, and then let that be your career for the rest of your life. I think right now this whole thing with Diamond is showing that's not really feasible, because people just can't make those minimums at this point. And in all fairness, though, I mean, Diamond just had to lay off people too. I mean, they lay off a lot of staff.
I mean, that's the overall bigger picture, is that Diamond, just like every other corporation and company in this company, is hurting. And
It's not a case of greed. It's not a case of we want more money and we're trying to get more money from you. It's the realities of the economics,
right.
and they have to raise their prices so that they can keep going, functioning from day to day. And they've let people go. DC just they fired Bob Schreck.
Yeah.
This past week.
I didn't even know he was still there.
Really, but I mean that came as a huge shock to a lot of people.
It did.
Came as a huge shock to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he's gone. Top Cow had to let some people go.
Yeah, I read about that.
DC's letting people go. Marvel's letting people go. The reality is at this point that the economy is hurting, and that's just the way it is. So we've just got to deal.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean to comics in general? I think, and I've been saying this time and time again, I think the answer is obvious. It's the internet.
Yeah.
I don't understand this tremendous reliance on the Diamond Previews book. When if you're an independent creator, if you can get a name and you can get a decent website where people can order through you directly, look at Steve Rude Productions. Steve Rude, the creator of Nexus. You can order directly through Steve Rude, his books, all the Nexus books, and if you're a distributor, you get a substantial discount. Mm-hmm. And you can order the books directly from the artists, directly from the creators. I think that's the future of comics. You put together a nice website where people can see your work, put the first few pages, or heck, put the whole book online for people to read. Mm-hmm. If you like the book enough, order it. And then, the print book itself would have extras like the script, sketch pages. You can personalize it. Jeff Zwerek, Burning Building Comics, he's an indie creator. He does that. You order the books directly through him, and not only will he send you the books, but he'll personalize a sketch in there for you. I think that's the future of comics. I think that's the way it's got to be, just like a lot of rock bands are doing now, where you can get your albums directly from their band, directly from the site.
Well, maybe this is something that the industry needs for it to kind of morph into what things should be.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they can. I think something like this, whenever you have a change in a fundamental value in a society, it's usually preceded by either an economic depression or a war, and we've had both.
Yeah.
So maybe, this is the kind of thing, and of course, the future of comics isn't nowhere near as important or as relevant as, let's say, the end of slavery or suffragettes, the suffragette movement, or the right to vote, or child welfare, things like that. It's nowhere near it. But it just goes to show, if you can change something as huge as that, then we as people, we have it in us to change little minor things. Because the reality is, comics are entertainment. Does it really matter how we hear about them? No. Heck. And comics will survive. Comics can survive. The tools are there. We just need to change our way of thinking. So, that's what I think on it. I know I've basically dominated this conversation.
That's fine. Well, you're in the industry. I mean, Dynamite is going to be one of those smaller companies that might be affected.
Yeah, Dynamite. Yeah. So far, so good. But I don't know. So that's how I feel about that. I think comics are going to be okay. We just need to break loose of the old ways and start doing things. As Yoda would say, unlearn all that you have learned. There you go.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. We'll come back with something else. Perhaps Last Rants. We'll see. Thanks for joining us.